Okay, so I took a trade yesterday during the PM session, and right after that, I had class up until 10 p.m. So I did not get a chance to record a trade recap, and I just want to kind of highlight what I was looking for with this trade and how the trade went. So we'll start on the weekly just to get a sense. Okay, yesterday at the same time, or yesterday during the PM session, this candle looked relatively the same, right? It's respecting this weekly candle that we're forming right now is respecting this, weekly order block. So that's something to be aware of. Okay. Um, on the daily, we were respecting a daily bullish fair value gap. We had also, and this was big for me, had taken this previous weekly low. So with that sweep, it made it so this was a little bit more of a confirmation for me because we're still trading. Remember, we're still trading inside of a bearish fair value gap as well on the daily. So for me to really want like this, that sweep helped. This candle right here, Tuesday, swept previous weekly low. So that was a benefit to me wanting to take a buy. 4 hour doesn't look too clean, right? Pretty much chopping just a little bit higher day by day here. But this week's been fairly choppy. But what you'll see is some equal lows forming. All these equal lows were here when I took this trade yesterday. So that was something that I was willing to still take a buy with those equal lows underneath. I think that's something that I should point out. Something that I should have pointed out for any future trades that I take, because I am usually very against taking a buy when there's like equal lows underneath. But this is more of a scalp play, and it made sense when you'll see on the 1 hour here. So remember how on the daily I said I was bullish because we were respecting that daily fair value gap, and we swept previous weekly low on Tuesday. So look, I was aiming for, well, I'll get to that actually. We're inside a 1 hour fair value gap. Okay, that's where my sweep's taking place. So we have our higher time frame PD array that we need for my model to take place in. You see the sweep here on the 15-minute, swept the lows. Okay. Let me go to the enter off the 1 minute. I'm pretty sure. Hang on. So you saw the sweep, you saw the higher time frame PD array, right? Here's the distribution that was necessary. Now, this is where I left money on the table, essentially, and I'll explain why. I'm not upset with my entry being as high as it was, because there's a world where we don't come back down to this fair value gap here, or even this one. But yes, I initially started looking at this trade after this fair value gap had formed, so at the close of this candle. And the reason being is because that was essentially, okay, we broke structure and we are clearly looking to go higher based off the distribution. And you see, had I done that, had I entered here, I was actually just going to target my first partial profit, what ended up being my partial profit zone. I would have targeted that as my full take profit, because it was a 1 to 1.6 or 1 to, yeah. But because I entered so high, I said, you know what, I'll take partials at this level and I'll leave a runner or two to come to this level here. Because this is obviously way less than a 1 to 1. Now, something to take note of also is and I probably should have been, well, you know what? Look, this is something where I am looking back on like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. At the end of the day, I wanted to make sure I got a fill. I wasn't chasing this at all at this point because we still hadn't taken this high, and that's what I was really aiming for. And I made sure to secure profits when we hit it. But yeah, just something to take note of, the fact that maybe a 1-to-1 would have netted me $500. This netted me 180 because I took three of the five contracts off here, and then put my stop break even. So just something to take note of. But again, in hindsight, if I were to do this again, I think I would still use this inverse fair value gap here. That's what I used as an entry once we closed above it. That was the nearest PD rate that I could use on the 1 minute here. I would use it again, man, because in all likelihood it's we could simply continue higher off of a tap there. Yeah, trying to think. That's really it though as far as the trade goes. Like I said, when we came up into this level, I not only took 3 of the 5 contracts off, I also put my stop to break even. And I will show you. Oh, psychology wise, just real quick, I was confident in this trade pretty much the entire time I was holding it. Obviously, we chopped around for a little bit once I entered, and I gotta be honest, this didn't really even make me nervous. The reason being is because I don't know, no, I wasn't live, but I was telling myself like, if my setup, or not if my setup, if this trade is going to play out in my favor, we're sweeping this low. So as we were coming down, unless I saw some big candle like down here and it closed bearish down here, like then probably the sweep's not going to happen anymore. But this wasn't scaring me, this drawdown here. And so yeah, that's kind of how the trade played out. If I got in, if I traded like inversion fair value gaps like this, where I don't wait for the retest, then I could have entered off this candle here for a re-entry, but I don't trade like that. I like to see retests. So obviously this came back down into this inversion fair value gap, and that's when I entered. So but yeah, that's the trade. I will show the actual execution on the chart here. There you go. And yeah,